Welcome to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Big E, Ian McNaughton here. We're with SYP creator Scott. Scott, happy birthday, first of all.
Thank you.
Are 20 years old now?
I am big 2-0 today. It's a good one. Time to drink lots. And speaking of drinks, Ian's drinking. What are you drinking today?
This is a Red Racer
Red
Pale
Racer.
Ale.
There you go.
Made in Surrey by the Central City Brewing Company.
And fans, you know what I drink? Stella Artois. It's the go-to beer.
So
I'm a
sophisticated
guy.
Yeah, exactly. Sophisticated.
Exactly.
Hopefully your 20th birthday doesn't turn out like my 20th birthday where everything just went to shit afterwards in November last year, where it's just like now we have COVID and it just seems like everything's going downhill now. But
I feel bad for people that had like March and April birthdays.
I know.
They were literally locked down. Like at least if you had like a summer birthday, you could at least like see some friends. But like March, April, like forget it. Good luck seeing people.
Yeah, no. If you had a March birthday, even May birthday, it was like fuck
R.I.P.
it. Yeah, pretty much.
Rest.
So you went golfing today, by the way, and did you play like Bryson or did you play like Barkley?
I played like Barkley. It wasn't good. It was far from good. I'm gonna say let's not talk about the golf. I'm gonna say I parred the first 2 holes and I parred the 18th.
Oh, so you have 3 parts. Okay, yeah.
I had 3, but the rest of it was, you know how I usually play.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Absolute dog shit. So we're just not gonna talk about it.
All right. So you and I were hanging out last weekend, which was NHL Free Agency weekend. So we got some stuff out there, but we were pretty busy. We were watching my Seahawks absolutely come back against the Minnesota Vikings.
And your Lakers won.
And the Lakers won, so we have to acknowledge that. The Lakers won. I got my T-shirt on the way.
Oh, you do? Let's go.
I didn't get my hat, but Neil, basically, my brother Neil went off on me saying about how Jordan is clearly superior to LeBron, and that's kind of a push
Are we going to start that debate right now?
I don't want to start that debate right now.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to mention about my brother saying it was a bit of a bitch move getting a Lakers championship T-shirt. When Jordan's clearly the superior player, the better player.
Well. Anyways, that's not what this pod's about. This is a hockey pod, so
we're turning into a hockey pod this time.
Yeah.
But I think we have to. I don't know if it's the biggest free agent signing, but I want to talk about the Taylor Hall signing first because Taylor Hall went to Buffalo.
He did.
1 year, $8 million.
He's basically just banking on himself to do well. If he puts up 70 points, he signs long term there. Hot take.
I mean, it's actually not. Here's the thing. I know he said he wanted to go to a contender, and Buffalo is not really a contender.
They're not. Yeah, they're far from it.
They're a bit far from it. But I mean, there's Jack Eichel, who is really good. If you don't watch Buffalo games, you know that you should because Jack Eichel's good.
That's your only reason to watch Buffalo, really. Maybe.
I was gonna say Darlene.
Okay, yeah, Darlene's good too.
But yeah, you have Eichel. Eric Stahl's there, which is something.
Yeah. Dylan Cousins is on his way. He'll probably be there this year. Hopefully, he's good enough now.
Possibly, but it's kind of thinking about this. Like, just think about the Sabres here. I mean, their goaltending is not very good. I don't think Linus Ullmark and Carter Hutton are that good.
No. They're an okay tandem. They're nothing special.
They're worse than Nashville's, tandem.
Well, of course they are. Pecorino, UC Soros. Of course they're not as good.
So, but I actually don't mind the Hall signing. I don't mind. I don't think it works for both teams because Buffalo gets Hall, who's probably he's like one of their best wingers they've had in a long time.
I think he's the guy that can match Eichel's ability, and I think him and Eichel together is going to be fun to watch. There aren't many teams or even like lines in the NHL that are quite like that. I think it'll be Hall, Eichel, and Olofsson. I think that's what people are projecting.
I think so. Yeah.
That's pretty bananas. That's a lot of speed, a lot of skill, and Hall and Eichel are both. They can play physical, and Olofsson's obviously a good finisher, a good guy around the net. So Look out for that Buffalo first line. They're going to be top 10 in the NHL in terms of first lines
I
right now.
mean, Hall didn't really have a great opportunity in New Jersey last year.
Yeah.
He kind of had something in Arizona, but not really. There wasn't really a center there. I guess Derek Stepan was their best center,
But he's
and
not Jack Eichel.
no, God, no.
He's far
So,
from.
so it makes sense for Hall to go to Buffalo, I think, and
Absolutely.
and there's a
Yeah.
world in which like we start the season in January, the trade
Yeah.
deadline's in March, and he's only there for 2 months.
It's a possibility, yeah. Realistically.
So
Not that that'll happen, but you never know.
depending on how the season goes and how they've scheduled it all, but yeah, who knows? The other move I wanted to mention too was Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights getting D-man Alex Pietrangelo.
Yeah, I would say that should have been mentioned before Hall. That's the biggest free agent signing.
I wanted to mention the Hall one because I think the Hall one was a bit more surprising than Pietrangelo.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's true. No one expects him to go to Buffalo. Like you expect him
Yeah.
like to go to a contending like a Calgary. Well, he wouldn't go to Calgary, but like some contending Colorado or Vegas even. Like
yeah,
these teams in the West that are good. But I guess Buffalo's a good fit for. Anyways, Pietrangelo to Vegas. That's big.
That's big.
Big.
I think Pietrangelo is arguably even probably the best D-man that they've had in their franchise.
Yep. Nope. There's no arguing that.
Yeah.
He's. You can almost argue for him being the best player in their current franchise.
Ooh.
Fleury's close. Mark Stone's close, but I think Pietrangelo.
That's a good take.
Yeah, I think he's the best player. He's the most, I think, relevant name that's been signed in Vegas, maybe other than Fleury.
Yeah, I think I can't really argue with that. I mean, it's just like the rich getting richer with Vegas, where they sign the best free agent in this year's class, arguably, in Pietrangelo. And now they have a top D-man.
Yeah. Well, they had one anyways, but they have another one now.
So do you I guess Pietrangelo Theodore?
That's a top 3 D pairing in the NHL.
Yeah, at least. Has to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Vegas just getting better. I wanted to give them like a B grade for their offseason because they did have to move Nate Schmidt.
Vegas fans aren't going to like that.
But
he was a big part of that team, and he wanted again. I listened to an interview that he did with some Canucks fan page, and he's like he loved being there from the ground up, and I think he had this connection with Vegas, and that was really cool. And he's a heart and soul player. Like you don't expect a guy like that. He's kind of like we've talked about this in recent pods, like the Michael Saunders of like the Mariners in that aspect. Like he's an important player on that team. Is he the best player? No, but he's a vital part of the success of that team just because of who he is and how he handles himself.
He means more to that actual team than the team he's going to.
Yeah.
Definitely. If that makes sense, yeah.
I mean, the Canucks are going to love him, and he's going to help Hughes out a lot, just that veteran experience and getting some tips and stuff from Schmidt. I think that'll be really helpful for Hughes. But again, Vegas is losing a lot.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah, I love them. It's a tough move, but a move you kind of have to do with Pietrangelo, bringing him in and then getting Schmidt out of there.
Yeah. You don't have the cap room. They didn't have the cap room to keep both.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
Unless they find a move for Fleury here, which they've been talking about how they want to keep him.
They have 2 number 1 goalies right now.
You have 2 number 1 goalies. Leonard is, I think, going through surgery, or he's had surgery and he's recovering. So I don't know if he's going to be starting for whenever the start of the season is.
Yeah.
But there's a world, you can keep Fleury and pay whatever $12 million for the 2 of them, for Leonard and Fleury, or you can make a move for Fleury, get some cap space, and see who knows. They got a couple other guys like Alex Tuck might be on the way out too.
Vegas is gonna start running into some cap issues for sure.
Yeah. I want to also mention you mentioned the Canucks. So they had them in Montreal, I think maybe even Toronto had like the most polarizing off seasons. Where you lose Markstrom and you lose Tanev. And you lose
Stetcher. And you lose How do you lose two right shot defensemen that are your homegrown defensemen that are both right shots? I just don't. I can't.
So
It doesn't make sense to me.
so
Like
with
why?
Vancouver, I thought them as having like a C plus or a B minus off season
C plus.
because
They don't deserve a B.
a
Definitely.
B minus or
Okay.
B minus or C plus, excuse me,
Okay.
because they weren't going to pay Markstrom that contract.
I couldn't afford it.
They couldn't afford it. The term didn't make any sense, so they weren't going to do that contract.
Yeah.
The Tanev thing, that's the one where it's like, okay, sure, 4.5 or 4 years.
Yeah.
They have some decent depth in their system. They got Yolevi and Wu, and they might be something. Who knows? The Stetcher one hurts because
That one stinks because he's from Richmond, BC.
he's
He's like
yeah,
that's gotta sting.
and he was affordable. Like 1.7 million on the cap is not egregious by any means.
I guess he didn't fit. Well, I guess I don't know what Jim Benning was thinking, but I guess he didn't fit what the Canucks wanted. And again, he's a lot like Quinn Hughes. He's just a not as good Quinn Hughes. And I think
Oh
they
yeah,
were hoping Stetcher would become a power play quarterback and someone that could run the offense. But unfortunately, there's a guy who's better suited for that than he is. I think he was kind of just like left out, and he had to go. He had to be expended. Like that's
I was really shocked that the Red Wings got him because I really thought he was going to be in Vancouver. And it's not
yeah.
like
Well, yeah.
and it's not like he's a bad player. He should be
No,
at least playing top 4 minutes in Detroit, and probably would be in Vancouver.
he'd be
Um,
top six on a good team, on a team with four solid defensemen. He'd be a
yeah.
premier third pairing defenseman.
So, and then the Toffoli one, I think it hurts the most. I think that Toffoli trading for like they gave a lot for Toffoli, and then they
Yeah,
let
a first round pick,
and Tyler
Tyler
Madden,
Madden, and someone else, wasn't it?
Schaller,
Yeah, Shaw. Yeah,
and he was more of a cap dump. But I mean,
still.
Toffoli's cap hit wasn't egregious either. Like that was 4.25, I think, that Montreal paid, and
And
Vancouver.
for the experience and like the skill and kind of just intangibles that you can't find
Yeah,
often, like yeah,
you're
that
gonna
was
now you're
that one
gonna.
was shocking.
I was gonna say, well, because now you're gonna go on the market and you're gonna try and draft, or you're gonna try and find somebody to basically replace Tyler Toffoli when you already had Tyler Toffoli on the market and you could have just signed him.
But I guess question for you, Ian, is then like the Canucks have a deep farm system. Do you
Yes.
think Adam Gaudette fills that role next year,
No.
or no? What about Michael?
I don't
What
think
about Furland?
no. I think
No.
Ferland, I think I would not be trusting him a whole lot with his injuries. I don't think Gaudette fits that. I don't think he's not as talented as Toffoli is.
No.
Vertanen, do you really think this, was like this was Vertanen's best year? Do you really think he's going to put that 20 goal number up again next year?
Yeah, I think so. Again, he's young. He's a young guy. Again, his type of how he plays the game, it takes him experience to learn how to control and kind of rein everything in. Because he's a speed guy, so often like he needs to just slow down and take a look and think of the game. Once he gets the process and the thought process behind the game, he'll start to play better and he'll start to put up better numbers like he did this year. So I think with Jake, the older he gets, the better he'll be. Personally, but
I don't know.
again, we'll have to see what happens.
We'll have to see what happens. I think they have maybe about 2 million in cap space left,
The
and
Canucks do.
and they still have to re-sign Vertanen and
Yeah.
Gaudette.
And then they have Hughes and Pedersen next year.
And that's just it. Though no, those guys you have to sign this offseason. Like this is the offseason you have to give them a
Hughes and
big.
Petey?
Yeah, this is the year because you don't want to
Well,
have to deal with that bullshit next year.
with a
You
bullshit,
want to
yeah.
deal with that right now.
Well, they're both RFAs, aren't they?
Yeah, but you don't want
So
like
then you have the offer sheet thing too.
you have the offer sheet thing too, and obviously they're fucking. They're gonna have another like. Who here wants to say that PD and Hughes are gonna have a bad year next year?
No one can say that.
So their value is only going to go up. Now is the time you re-sign those guys. By
Yeah,
the way, fun fact.
fun fact.
There are two players on the Canucks right now who have contracts that are longer than 3 years right now. Can you
Bo
name?
Horvat.
Nope.
Really? JT Miller.
Nope.
Thatcher Demko. No.
The two guys who have contracts right now, currently, with more than 3 years on their contract.
Okay.
Tyler Myers.
And Lou Erickson.
Nate Schmidt.
Whoa.
Those are your only two guys that you have with more than 3 years left on your deal, on their deals.
The Tyler Myers one makes me laugh.
The Tyler Myers one, I had a bit of a chuckle too when I saw that. I'm not gonna lie.
That's pretty funny.
But I mean, like, I know they were talking about trading Besser this offseason, which I don't get that. I know he didn't look totally confident in like the final few games against Vegas, but anyways.
Yeah.
You re-signed Hughes now. You re-signed Petey now. I think Horvat still has 2 years left on his deal, and maybe the same with Besser.
But he's gonna want big money too. Yeah. How do you fit it all in? Well, it's the same thing as Toronto. I don't know how. Speaking of cap issues.
Okay.
I don't know how the fuck Toronto gets Thornton, TJ Brody.
Yes.
Zach Bogosian. It's not the winner to Zach Bogosian. And Wade Simmons. Plus they have 4 guys to half their cap hit. I just find that ridiculous.
Don't forget about the legend Jimmy VC, who they also signed for like $700K. No. That's essentially what Toronto is now. Toronto is pretty much the top end guys get paid, and then the bottom end guys get nothing. Because basically, I think Bogosian is on $1 million contract. Thornton is on a 700. Like he's on league minimum, which he should definitely outplay that contract. You would think. Simmons is on league minimum, which he didn't have a great year last year.
Yeah, and he's got to prove himself this year. And then TJ Brody, what's he at?
I think he's at $5 million over 4 years, so he's got a $20 million.
How can Toronto?
Can I also just say with Calgary for a second? I think replacing Brody with Tanev, or replacing Tanev with Brody. No, fucking, I had it right the first time.
You had it right the first time. Yeah.
Replacing Brody with Tanev.
Yeah.
Was a bad idea. Is a significant downgrade. And I get that you and I have had this conversation with the Flames about how they need to just kind of either blow it up or change it up. Because you know, if you do the same thing again and expect different results, you're kind of crazy.
Well, based on what they did this summer, I think they're changing it up. They're not going to blow it up. And I think Markstrom's a better goalie than Rittich, than Big Save Dave.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with Markstrom... No, I'm not arguing that. Like, the issue with Markstrom is that that's going to be a bad contract. And we see that with Calgary all the time, where they just give out, like... People wonder why Calgary have had goalie troubles. Well, you give out stupid deals like fucking 6 years for Markstrom. That dude's going to be 36. Like, okay. So in 3 years.
Yes.
When Dustin Wolf is ready. Former Everett Silvertip, I am kind of biased with this. But if Dustin... They also have Tyler Parsons. But anyways, if one of those guys is ready to play in 3 years.
Sure.
It's your starting goalie in 3 years. So now you have Markstrom, who you have 3 years and $18 million left. And he's 33.
Right. I guess they can keep both whoever of Parsons or Wolf is ready, plus Markstrom, assuming that Parsons and Wolf won't be eligible for the Kraken to take in the expansion draft, right? Because there's also, let's not forget about, there's that expansion draft looming next year too.
That is true.
Right, so there's also that to keep in mind. So my guess is Rittich's the goalie that'll be left exposed to the Kraken. So Wolfie and Parsons probably won't be taken just because they're still young enough. They're too young.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be and now with the whole COVID shit and the flat cap, it's gonna be interesting to see how teams protect or expend their players to be able to give to Seattle. Like Seattle might be better than Vegas. Maybe not.
You might be right there, but can I just say I think it would be really fucking funny if I don't want to wish anything ill on the guy, but if just for whatever reason it doesn't work out with him in Calgary, and Markstrom gets picked up by Seattle in the expansion draft, and I just think that would be really funny from a Calgary perspective. Just
Well,
seeing the Flames like, oh yeah, we
no,
got our
yeah,
we
no
got
doubt
our
about it.
long-term goalie, and then 1 year later it's like, actually the Kraken took him. We don't have any options at goalie. Here's some couple prospects for you to get excited about.
Yeah, that's funny.
I don't know. I just think Toronto. I think with Calgary, it's kind of like, why do you keep having the same problems with goalies? Well, because you keep just throwing money at it and hoping one of these guys will work. And who knows? They got the prospects now, but that's gonna be a
It
thing.
might, it might be different this year. Markstrom, he had a great year, and again, there's no reason why he shouldn't do it again next year.
He should have a better
Just saying.
defense next year.
Sorry?
He should have a better defense, you would think, next year. A more complete defense. I know Brody
I
left.
wouldn't say better, but more complete. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah,
I know Brody left, but
the Canucks are, yeah.
And congratulations to the Toronto Maple Leafs for winning the 2013 Stanley Cup with the signings of Joe Thornton and Wayne Simmons, along with their signing of Jason Spezza as well this offseason. The Maple Leafs are trying to avenge their 2013 loss to the Bruins, I guess is what they're trying to do.
I guess so. Yeah, they're quite the story. They're gonna be. Yeah, we'll see what happens in Leaf Nation. We'll see what happens.
I also have to say this because Andreas Johnsson got traded for Joey Anderson. Joey Anderson was the captain of the Team USA junior team a few years ago. Joey Anderson is good. You're going to like him, Toronto. You will like Joey Anderson.
I think he's better than Andreas Johnsson, personally. I think he's more effective.
I think Johnson's more talented, but Anderson is kind of more what the Leafs need in a bottom six. Like here's the thing with the Leafs is that their top four guys are Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander.
Sure.
And then you let's say you also throw Nick Robertson and Mikheyev into the mix. Or even Zach Hyman. I should say Hyman and maybe Engvall too. Like you throw those guys in there.
Hyman and Mikheyev are part of your top six.
So then you like Toronto's got a bunch of good wingers. Like I wouldn't really worry about losing somebody like Johnsson and Kapanen because you already have a bunch of those guys in your system.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't have a Joey Anderson in your system. So
yeah.
That I would say the Joey Anderson trade was a good trade for Toronto. And a kind of a necessary trade. They kind of had to.
Johnsson was going to be a little more expensive than what the Leafs wanted to pay, so it makes sense. Yeah, 100%.
Another team I want to discuss is the Montreal Canadiens because they've
had quite the offseason.
They are a team that looks like they're trying to be playoff contenders.
I don't know what the Montreal Canadiens are.
I mean,
I don't know.
The Josh Anderson move, like the actual acquisition of Anderson and then signing him, I get it, but like I like Anderson. I don't like that contract, and I don't like what they gave up to get him.
I think the Habs lost that trade. I think Domi's a better player than Anderson.
Yeah.
I think Domi was a great fit in Montreal. I don't know why they got rid of him. Maybe it's because they feel confident in Kotkaniemi and Suzuki that they don't want to pay another center X amount of dollars, I guess. But what can you do? Like,
and again, like Josh Anderson is a guy that teams like just in terms of his physical play and how he plays.
Yeah,
but I mean, like $5 million.
A lot. It's like the David Clarkson contract.
Yeah, it's like
why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm questioning what Montreal did this offseason. It was a little weird.
But I liked the Toffoli signing.
That was good. Okay, that was good. You're right.
I didn't mind the I kind of get the Allen deal, but like also like okay, you kind of have price, but sure, let's go OP and goalie.
Well, you see a lot of teams going with this tandem shit and like having a good number two.
I like having a good number two, preferably every day.
Well, good one.
Yeah, on a roll.
On a roll. There you go, attaboy.
But I mean, Montreal. I think now the move for them is to make the playoffs. Like they have to make the playoffs with all the money they threw around this offseason.
I think it's playoffs or bust.
Yeah.
Or Bergevin's gone, I think. I think Bergevin's in the hot seat this summer.
And maybe that's what he was working with. It's just like, I got to make the playoffs, or my job's on the line. So
yeah, do whatever you can, I guess. Yeah,
anyway,
true.
and then you
talk about the draft.
You want to talk? All right, let's talk about the draft for a little bit. Who Go off on your Anaheim Ducks. Go off on your Ducks and how well they did. I'll give you 30 seconds here. Go ahead.
I have 30 seconds. Are you gonna set a timer?
No, I'm watching on the time here. Go for a minute. How about that? Go for a minute.
Let's go for a minute. Okay. Ducks fans and people watching this podcast. My Ducks fucking crushed the draft. A little sidebar. Kevin Shattenkirk, good signing, by the way. Jamie Drysdale is the next star defenseman in the NHL. There is no doubting that. He's way better than Jake Sanderson. He is a perfect fit in Anaheim. I just see him and either Lindholm or Fowler playing together. They're going to go off. They will be unbelievable. It's going to be a treat to watch him play. I've asked you can ask Ian. I've asked Ian for a Drysdale jersey for Christmas, one of the old retro Ducks ones. Anyways, long story. Their other guy from Sarnia, what was his name?
Jacob Perreault.
Yeah, Jakob Perreault. He's unbelievable too. Sniper, again, great fit in Anaheim, good scorer.
I got 10 seconds left on you.
Okay. People are saying like the Rangers won the draft. No. Considering what the Ducks picks had 6 and 27, they won the draft. They had some great picks in the later rounds too, but Drysdale is my guy. I love the guy. Number 1 defenseman in the future. My Ducks.
All right, you went. I think on my timer you went like 7 or 8 seconds over. But anyways, congrats on your Ducks for crushing the draft. I will kind of put water on your fire. I think the Kings are closer to making the playoffs and contending than the Ducks are.
The Kings are.
Oh yeah, the Kings are loaded. I think the Kings are like.
With prospects, yeah, okay.
Well, just as a team, I think the Kings have a better team. I think that they're. Hot take. I can see the Kings making the wild card this year as a playoff team, and not the actual like bubble thing that we did this past year, but as like
who is the goalie? Who is the better goalie?
Well, you have the better goalie, obviously. No. Actually, John Gibson, believe it or not, is the second best goalie in the NHL according to EA Sports with his 91 overall rating.
Fuck yeah, that's right. Of course it is. If you put him, hear me out. If you put him on a team with 6 solid defensemen, he is a top 5 goalie in the NHL. No question about
it. He's on a team with who's your Fowler,
Lindholm, and Manson. That's 3 defensemen. Our other 3 guys are essentially minor league defensemen.
Okay, three quality or above D-men, and he's still pulling in a second overall 91 rating. That is amazing. Talk about trying to make the U.S. fans interested. I will say though, Quick did not have a good year last year. He needs to have a bounce back year if the Kings are going to do anything. But that's kind of my hot take. The Kings are much closer to competing for a playoff spot than.
Well, you're full of shit then.
Am I full of shit? Okay.
You're full of shit.
Well, we should.
Am I biased? Maybe.
We should have a bet then as who we think is gonna.
Who makes the playoffs first? The Kings or the Ducks?
Yeah.
$20?
$20. All right, deal.
Bet. All right. Live. So fans,
we're already gambling on a podcast. That's not great.
Well, now that means we actually have to follow through with it. So that's part of the issue.
We do have to follow through with it. Okay.
Should we write it down? We'll just keep it in mind. Whoever makes the playoffs first.
Yes, if Anaheim. It's on a podcast, so we know it.
We know it. Yeah, true.
I think your Ducks had a really good draft. I kind of laughed at the Oilers for not taking a D-man. I thought that was funny. I know the draft isn't where you take your team needs, but I just figured like we're the Edmonton Oilers, we don't need a D-man. And then also
but at least they didn't draft a small forward or a small winger. At least they drafted someone big and physical with some skill. That's my only takeaway from that.
The other funny thing was the Toronto Maple Leafs refusing to draft anybody over 6 feet tall because in Toronto short kings rise in Toronto. So kudos to
people are saying this. The Amarov kid's gonna be like Kucherov though. That's what people are saying. Again, no guarantee he'll turn out like that. But
I've heard that too, which I mean,
shocking.
Could happen.
I think the more like that pick was a little shocking, but it was when Columbus when Columbus made their pick, it was kind of like a bomb went off. It's like
Can I just say some dude, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, but I might have told you. Some dude, he posts like who he thinks are reaches and where he like he does all through his analytics and stats of like, okay, this guy should be projected to be drafted in this range, and this guy should be drafted in this range, and this guy should be, like so on and so on. And he does
yeah.
and excuse me, and he does reaches, and he said, Jake Sanderson was a bit of a reach, but anyways,
Yeah.
couple spots. The guy that Columbus drafted at 21.
19. Do we even have his name?
I have no idea what the guys do. Go search up his name and I'll stall here. But pretty much this dude who does all this, analytical research and has his charts and everything, he said that the range on that dude that the Jackets drafted would be anywhere from 91 to 207th overall.
So like a fourth round pick.
Like a fourth round pick, and Columbus has taken him within the top 20. And apparently the Jackets said that they thought of him as a top 10 pick, as a top 10 player.
That's unbelievable.
That is like the funny thing is that this is like 2020 where we have the technology and we can like YouTube shit, and we have so many sources and there's so many more people involved now compared to 20, 30 years ago. But I mean, come on. Come
on. Like his name is Igor Chinnikov. He was drafted 21st overall, and he's from Omsk in the KHL. But I think I said this before. Watch us be wrong. Like,
oh yeah,
just Jarmo Kekalainen knows some shit about these Euro players. Like, watch out.
This guy's gonna probably have his number retired by the Blue Jackets for all we know. Like, he's gonna be a long. But I want to say he's a long-time Blue Jacket, but I think he just re-signed a contract with his KHL team, and now he's there till like 2024.
He's there till like 20, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, what the
That's the thing about drafting KHL players. You just don't know. You don't know what they're gonna do. So.
I mean, I know Keefe says, SYP creator Keefe, I know he says never sleep on Columbus, but I mean, like, you don't think you could trade down to get that guy?
Yeah, I guess. Like, maybe the guy they really wanted was gone, and they just kind of like said fuck it and took their next best player, and he was their number 2. I don't know.
There's a good chance he could be number 2.
Yeah, there is. Either way. Anyways.
I thought Winnipeg. I liked Winnipeg's pick of Cole Perfetti. I thought he dropped again.
That was a steal of the draft.
With SYP, Short Kings rise here. Short Kings stand here on SYP.
Who ever said that? Who's ever said that?
I don't know. It's a thing we go with here. We're a creative bunch here on SYP.
Yeah, we are.
That's why when we do, that show I was talking about where it's like MTV Cribs but it's SYP version. When we do SYP hype houses and I just rank houses, give 5-star ratings on people's like student housing. Pretty much.
Well, we're talking about doing that. We should just run it.
Maybe I will, and I'm basically just gonna rate houses on a 5-star basis if they have a French press or not. That's like the main criteria.
That's the main criteria.
It's having a French press is the main criteria. Right. Cole Perfetti, I really like. Maybe he might even be Winnipeg's second line center, so they don't have to trade Laine to get one. How about that?
They can trade Laine for a defenseman.
No, they don't even need to trade Laine.
I don't think Laine wants to be in Winnipeg. I think he's gone. Yeah. I think he's gone sometime in the next few months. Personally,
I think he's gone probably by the end of this month or like.
Oh fuck yeah!
Like him and Gaudreau I think are both gone at some point this offseason.
You think Gaudreau's gone too?
I think
even with what Calgary did.
I think Gaudreau. I think some team makes a good enough move to go get Gaudreau. Hey, you know what? Fucking Chicago's giving away wingers for a shitty D-man. Maybe they'll maybe try to think who's a shitty D-man on Chicago. Slater Kokic? Is he still on Kukic? Is he still on Chicago? Yeah. They'll trade.
He's pretty bad. He's still in Chicago.
Yeah. So Chicago will do like instead of acquiring the shitty D-man, maybe they'll go trade the shitty D-man for a good winger.
Possibly. We'll have to see what happens.
Or maybe they'll just like.
Well, I mean, Chicago drafted Lucas Reichel's supposed to be pretty good. The German kid.
That's what I've heard. Shadow
That's
German players, by the way. I think there was more Germans drafted in the first round than Americans this year.
Yep, that sounds right.
So kudos to the German national. They've actually, if you actually been paying attention to the German national team, I don't know, like they've been like if you watch them at the World Juniors and World Championships, and they were in the gold medal final in the Olympics a couple of years ago. Germany's
Yeah.
actually making like progress to their hockey program
Oh yeah.
at the demise of their soccer team, obviously. But pretty much hockey's getting better, and then soccer.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The German football team's still pretty good. But you're 100% right about the hockey thing. Like the Draisaitl was the first, and there's just so many kids following them now.
Yeah.
I know they've put money into the hockey program there and growing the game, which has been a huge part. And the German professional leagues they've gotten better too, right? And that's been a big thing. Like Oliver Mannheim's a factory.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
if you hear that.
Yeah.
Like it's like Davos and like what's the Swedish team? It's not
Frölunda.
It's Frölunda, that's one, yeah, Frölunda.
Yeah.
Like same idea, it's just an absolute factory for like young hockey players that are good.
So shout out German hockey. Any other picks that you really liked or that you were really like bad or awful picks that you wanted to mention or discuss?
Bad picks or good picks?
Both, whatever your preference. If there's one that you really stood out to you.
Some that caught my eye, Braden Schneider at 19 to the Rangers. The Rangers were gonna have a good draft no matter what because they picked first overall. But the fact they made a good pick with their second round pick, that was also to me that really was like, damn, okay, good on you guys. You picked a good, solid physical defenseman, which is what they needed as well. They needed a big scoring winger and a powerful defenseman, and they got both.
Yeah, I mean the Rangers hit it. The Rangers did well.
The Ducks did well.
The Ducks did. I was gonna say, I don't want to shit on kids because this is their draft night, so I don't want to talk bad about them. But I mean, the only teams I think that really could have done better were Columbus, New Jersey, maybe.
Maybe New Jersey, yeah.
Anton Lundell to Florida was kind of a safe pick. I mean, he's a fair prospect, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of the safe pick. And I mean, yeah. Buffalo didn't even pick the best Ottawa 67 prospect when they took Jack Quinn.
No, they should have taken Rossi. That was a big mistake. Yeah, I agree with that. Jack Quinn's good, but they don't need a Jack Quinn. They have other guys that are like him.
They just, what was the, again, I think SYP creator Keith sent me this, a post where it's just like, Jack Eichel will now battle Jack Quinn, and it's going to be a one-on-one competition, and it's going to be called the Jack Off or something like that. And that's essentially what the Sabres are doing in Buffalo, is that they're just having a Jack Off.
It's just that kind of event, yeah.
Pretty much. You want to talk baseball a little bit? We got some big baseball games going on right now as we speak.
Yeah, on right now. I'll just mention it quickly. Rays Astros are Game 7, something that nobody expected. Just sidebar, the Rays were up 3-0, and the Astros, who cheated last year, have come all the way back and have a chance to win. I think the game's on right now, I think, yeah.
I think you're right, yeah. The Dodgers won earlier.
They did, so it's Game 7.
The Game 7 tomorrow.
Wow, that's big as well. Holy.
So
7 on Monday night, yeah.
Game 7 is tomorrow, I think.
Is it? It's tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow. I think it's really funny because I think Sunday night football is the LA Rams and San Francisco 49ers, and then the Dodgers are playing in Sunday night baseball. So LA sports are just killing it with primetime ratings.
Plus the Lakers won last week. It's a good time to be a sports fan.
In LA.
Well, everywhere, but yeah, in LA especially.
I mean, I wouldn't be totally cool to be an Atlanta sports fan. So I got the Dodgers playing the Rays.
In the World Series?
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with that.
Was that your pick?
Not originally. Originally it was Cleveland and the Dodgers, and then Cleveland just decided like, no, we don't want to play baseball anymore in October. It's like, well, cool. You guys could have told me that before I picked you to win, but whatever. I don't care. But the Rays are really good because the Rays, like, they just have tremendous starting pitching. They have enough bats. I kind of wish they had another bat, but I mean, it's the Rays. They're a small market team. They're playing Moneyball. They get whatever they can.
Yeah, they are actually. I'd like to see them win. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to have their first franchise World Series win against like a heavyweight like Los Angeles or like Atlanta. Those are both bigger market teams with money.
Right? Do you know how bad that would be? I don't know. Bad, yeah, but I mean, if the Dodgers lost the World Series again,
that would look bad. That would, yeah. At that point, it's kind of like they're like the Washington Capitals, like for a long time they just have so many good pieces and they just can't win if they lose this year. But there's no guarantee they'll lose this year.
So. They just have to win tomorrow and then beat the Astros and the Rays, which none of that I think is a guarantee. But the fact,
do you think whoever wins the NL is going to win the World Series?
No, I think it's a toss up.
All four teams are unreal. I think they're the four best teams in the MLB this year at least. Maybe
Yankees fans are just going to be screaming and yelling at you after this, but I mean,
how many Yankees fans do we really have that listen to our pod?
People don't watch a whole lot of baseball anyways, but people I'm sure root for the Yankees. Like, I'm sure my father is going to listen to this and just be upset with you that the Yankees, like, he's a Yankees fan when he's not rooting for the Manners. You know, my father, by the way, sidebar, my father says that the Manners are the farm team for the Yankees. So that's just wonderful. I get to root for a fucking farm team every fucking year.
It just shows you how good the Mariners are.
So bad.
So bad.
Yeah, Dodgers Rays. Do you think the Rays pull it off tonight? Do you think the Astros complete the sweep?
Rays win it, but it's not it's close. It'll be a close game. Rays win it. It'll be something dramatic. I don't know. It's what the Astros have done is unbelievable. I just don't think they're gonna win tonight.
I think
for whatever reason.
I think I saw something that the Rays have been batting like 200 in this series.
It's not that good.
Not very good at all. But also, I mean, kind of having the Astros in the World Series is kind of like I don't think you win if you're the MLB. You don't win with having Tampa in the World Series because Tampa's a small market team who's not going to get you a whole lot of ratings. But I know there's a lot of people who also hate the Astros, so maybe you can get people to watch the Astros, but I doubt it.
I guess, yeah. Well, I mean, just thinking about Tampa Bay, it'd be cool if Tampa won the World Series. To be 2 wins for Tampa Bay franchises.
So we can have more COVID parades?
Yeah, okay. Well, we talked about this last pod, but like the Tampa celebration was unreal.
It was. Oh no, it was cool.
That was unreal. I know they got in shit for it, but it was fun. That was hella fun.
And then actually too, the Super Bowl is in Tampa this year.
Oh, get out of here.
The Super Bowl is in Tampa this year. And the Buccaneers, obviously, with Brady, I think they're
not doing that great.
They're 2 games back of like Seattle for top in the NFC, right? So like they still have a ways to go, the Buccaneers. Yeah. But I mean, there's a world in which it's 3 for 3 because they don't have a basketball team.
Is it possible? Not likely, but it is like there is a chance of it happening. Yeah,
you could make your bets right now. Actually, probably not with the timing, but I mean, Rays, Lightning, Buccaneers parlay championships. I should probably let you go here because I'm sure you're gonna go celebrate your birthday here. Any other final thoughts or hot takes?
Oh, I gotta think about that. You gotta give me a topic about a hot take. Give me some like.
Well, I said earlier that I think the Kings will. The Kings are wild card contenders this year.
Well, you're so full of shit. The Ducks are gonna have a better chance of making playoffs than the Kings do. But we've already talked about that. That's.
I think the Canucks win the division. No, I don't actually think that. I was just thinking. I mean.
No.
Okay.
Vegas
Okay. Colorado's winning the cup.
Okay.
We didn't talk about Colorado, but Colorado's winning the cup.
Good hot take.
Because they got Devin Taves from the Islanders for 2 second-round picks.
Yeah.
And I mean that's a fair trade. That is a fair trade. It's just now the Avalanche's defense is completely OP when you have
unbelievable.
Makar, Graves, Taves, Byram, Gerard, like.
Yeah, they have a pretty dumb. They have just a stupid team.
Yeah.
Plus, they got Brandon Saad for
Zadorov.
Total win for Colorado.
And about that trade, Chicago retained salary for Saad in that deal.
That's funny.
Like,
I think Colorado has to win the cup this year. I just think they're that good. I don't see them losing the cup this year.
It has to be Colorado.
Yeah, I think they're going to be hungry now. They shouldn't have lost to Dallas. They're going to be so hungry to come back and just crush. They're going to be first in the Central. They're going to be first in the West. Look out for the Avalanche. I like that's a good hot take. I like that.
And you got a final hot take to end with?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. I was gonna say the Leafs are gonna win the cup, but that'd be funny. It'd be funny to say out loud.
I think it's realistic to think they get out of the first round.
Anyway, that's not my hot take. We'll talk about Leafs later. We'll do like a big preview show of the NHL season January 1st, hopefully, when I'm back in Squamish. Hot take: Tim Stützle wins the Calder Memorial Trophy next year.
Ooh.
On an Ottawa team that's loaded with young talent. I think Lafreniere will be good, but I think Stützle is going to surprise a lot of people. He's going to go off in Ottawa.
The couple points I have about Ottawa is Dom Luszczyszyn. I can never say his name. Luszczyszyn. He's a writer for The Athletic, and he's an athletic-based hockey writer. And right. I think it was either him or he might have retweeted it or whatever. But basically, they projected Ottawa's points this year to be around 56.
Out of what?
Like 56 points this year. That's what if we play a full season, the Senators are getting 56 points.
That's not a lot. That's
not very good. Also with Ottawa, fucking Eugene Melnyk, who's a dick of an owner, said that they were planning on having about 6,000 people at Sens games, which I think it's doable, but he made the joke something along the lines of, even we can get a sellout this year with COVID, ha 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 ha, and it's like, you are just a complete mockery of sports ownership.
Anyways, it's a good way to end the pod.
None of those related to Stützle. I just wanted to talk about Ottawa.
You're shitting. My hot take was about something good in Ottawa, and then you start shitting on the Sens. Give them some hope. They have some good players. They drafted 2 times in the top 5. I know Drysdale is still way better than Sanderson. That's my opinion. That is actually, it's not my opinion. It is a fact. So, anyways,
I love me some Brady Tkachuk. I'll give that to Ottawa fans. I love me some Brady Tkachuk.
We all love the Tkachuks. Their Nerf commercials are really funny.
That's a good way to end it. Thank you very much, Scott. Happy birthday.
Thanks guys
for coming on the pod. We'll have a bit more later on, but for now, this is just a quick break, and we'll be back later.
All right, welcome back to the SYP podcast. I'm Big E, Ian McNaughton here. We're just going to talk about some of the fights from Saturday night, including the UFC Fight Island 6 card, which saw headliner Brian Ortega defeat Korean Zombie in a unanimous decision, while, Jessica Andrade with the first round TKO over Caitlin Kukagian, and then also the big boxing fight last night. Vasily Lomachenko lost to oh god, why didn't I put his first name down? He lost to Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, 23 years old. Teofimo Lopez, excellent fight he had. Let's talk about the UFC first. So, in the UFC main event, Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie. This is the first loss for Korean Zombie since his second loss that year, Rodriguez, almost 2 years ago in Denver. When the guy Rodriguez and Korean Zombie were hugging it out, they were having a nice fight. It was all good. It looked like it was gonna go to the end, go to the decision. And then Yair basically hits him with a back elbow coming straight, like ducks his head, hits him with the back elbow, and it knocks Korean Zombie out with 1 second left. Like the latest knockout in UFC history. So that was Korean Zombie's last loss. Then tonight he loses by decision. Ortega landed 129 strikes. 120 of them were significant. I mean, that's impressive. That's so good. You can't argue with any of that. I mean, it's not even his strength. We've always thought of Brian Ortega as more of a ground guy, as a grapple guy. He likes to beat you while you're down, and Ortega stood, punch for punch with Korean Zombie, and it was really impressive to watch. He did have a few takedowns. I think he was 3 for 10 on his takedowns last night. Korean Zombie didn't attempt any. I think he wanted to keep the fight up, and he did. It was basically a boxing match for the most part. Probably my favorite moment from the first round was when Ortega, he caught a Korean Zombie kick. He caught it with his left and then, driving the cross into his face. So basically he caught it and then he basically just hit him with a cross the other way into the face. So that was a really nice counter by Ortega. And then when it looked like Ortega was going to, Korean Zombie was going to take momentum in the second round, Ortega hit him with a beautiful spinning elbow. Tremendous move by Brian Ortega. And then in the final few rounds, Ortega was using his jab to control most of the fight and keep his distance from Korean Zombie to avoid any potential KOs and knockdowns. If you look at all the the Ariel Hawanis of the world, they said that Korean Zombie just couldn't, maybe had the second round, if that, but he got that spinning elbow. It was really Brian Ortega winning all 5 rounds. It wasn't really close. Chang Sung Jung, who is the Korean Zombie, that's his nickname. This is it. It wasn't even like it was a poor performance. Like, it was competitive, but just Brian Ortega had the better shots. That's really what it was. I would think Ortega's next match would be a championship fight against Alexander Volkanovski. That seems like the move. And it'll be really interesting if we see this sort of Ortega, which is a stand-up boxing type, go up against Volkanovski, because Volkanovski has really, really come alive when going up against Max Holloway in a boxing type match, and essentially a kickboxing match. And for Chan Sung Jung, who's the Korean Zombie, I don't know what the move for him would be. Maybe Max Holloway. They were discussing that a little bit last night. I mean, I could see that happening. I don't think that's a horrible fight by any means. I would think Max Holloway would win. But that could also get quite a bit of attention, and you could definitely put that on a pay-per-view and people would want to watch. So, kudos to both guys. It was competitive. It was a good fight. It was really for beginners like myself or amateurs who are starting to get into some mixed martial arts. That's a good fight to go and watch. That's a good fight to go study and review and see what each guy did right. Because Ortega had some really good defense against Korean Zombies. Zombie had some good shots, but Ortega was blocking them for the most part. Really good fight. Really fun fight. That was really fun to watch. And no one, Ortega obviously boosts his standing in the division. Korean Zombie didn't really lose much with his. Jessica Andrade and Kaylin Kukikian. It was a first round TKO, but that knockdown, holy shit. So Jessica Andrade holding Kukikian on the cage, and then Andrade just picks her up and basically hits her with like the Kurt Angle slam. And it was like so startling when I saw it, because when I saw it happen, I'm like, you're not gonna lift her up and then slam her down. And she did. She did. It was incredible. It was a great move. And that's an 8-inch height difference between Andrade and Kukakian. And still lifted her up like nothing. and I would think that Valentina Shevchenko would be Andrade's next opponent at 125. I don't know who Kukakian fights next. The women's UFC divisions as a whole are quite random. There's got to be somebody there, I'm sure, that she'll fight, but the next move for sure is the Andrade Shevchenko championship fight, I would think. And then let's go to the boxing. The boxing was pretty good last night. The main event was Vasily Lomachenko against Lopez, was against Teofimo Lopez, and I mean, it was surprising because Lopez just pretty much dominated the early parts of the fight. Like, Lomachenko probably won the second round, but other than that, I'd say Lopez won rounds 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Like, I think he had 5 rounds to 1 at one point against Loma. It wasn't even that close. Loma just did nothing. He was just, Loma was moving his feet. I'll give him that. Loma was moving his feet, but he wasn't setting up anything. And even when he tried to, Lopez just countered it beautifully, or he just did his own thing. Lomachenko didn't really start coming alive until I thought the 7th round, and he finally started to establish some jabs and some throwing combinations, and it felt like a little too late. But then there's also the part of me that's like, it's the 7th round. He does have some time, but it still feels a little too little, too late. And you could argue that Loma won the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Like you can say that he won every round after the 6th, except for the 12th. I would say Lopez won the 12th round. He was just the better fighter. He was giving it everything. It was just a matter of who wanted it more. It was a battle of will, and I'd say Lopez won in the 12th round. And I don't know if that's what the difference was. I don't think it was in the judges' scorecards, but that really showed quite a bit of strength and quite a bit of resiliency by Lopez, who I don't know if he felt like he was losing momentum, but he definitely, wasn't winning some of those final rounds. And then he just came out and he just dominated. He was just a better fighter in the 12th round. Lopez was, and then Vasily Lomachenko expressed disappointment after the fight because Lopez beat Lomachenko. Sorry for all of you who had Lomachenko, but Lopez won, and the actual scorecards. I want to see if I can find the scorecards here, because Lomachenko expressed disappointment in not winning the fight, which I don't know how you thought that you won that fight. I just don't see it. Like there was nothing in that fight that showed there was nothing in that fight that pretty much gave Lomachenko a win. I don't think okay. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. So Lopez, the decision should have been either a Lopez win or a draw. Those were the only 2 decisions. There was no. I could be completely wrong. I don't know how you come to the conclusion that Lomachenko won, because I think Lopez was the better fighter all around. Judges' scores were 116-12, 109, 119, 109, and 117, 111. See, that 119, 109, that's definitely absurd. But, I had it 116, 112. I wouldn't be upset if you had 115, 113. I see how you get to 117, 111, 109, 119, 109. That I don't know. That didn't make any sense. But no, I think that's kind of how it went. It was 116, 112. I think was what I had. I don't know how Lomachenko comes to the conclusion that he thought he won. There was definitely not the first half of the fight. He was in the lead, and he came alive a bit in the last few rounds, but I didn't see it. So Lopez is the only 4-belt champion in lightweight. He's the youngest 4-belt champ in boxing history. So, congrats to Lopez. I think he's missing one belt. I think Devin Haney has one of the other belts. But really, it was a good night of fights. I thought the boxing match was good. I thought the UFC fights were really good. We'll see you next week with Khabib fighting Justin Gaethje. That's gonna be really fun. So, yeah, that was kind of my just quick recap on last night's fights. We'll have some more next week when we got the UFC. UFC big UFC card next week. See if I can find the card quickly. Yeah, the UFC card next week on Saturday. It's an early one. We'll see Khabib Nurmagomedov against Justin Gaethje. Robert Whittaker against Jared Cannonier. That's gonna be a really good fight. Alexander Volkov and Walt Harris. That's gonna be a really good fight. Steven Struve is on the card. Iron Cordeliba. Yeah, I mean, really good card. We'll have some analysis after that one too. So stay in touch. And then what's the next big boxing fight? I want to say it's Terrence Crawford. Oh, okay. Halloween. We have Gervonta Davis, Leo Santa Cruz. That's gonna be good, you would think. Just seeing if there's any other big boxing matches coming up. And that was the other nice thing I want to mention about this the Lomachenko Lopez fight was the fact that it was on cable. It was on ESPN. That Kevin Clark, who is a reporter analyst for the Ringer Network, he said, "Yeah, this is the best fight on cable we've seen in years." He couldn't remember the last time a big boxing fight like this was on cable, and I agree. I can't remember when the last time a big boxing match was on cable, because now it's all on either Showtime or DAZN or some sort of streaming platform. But yeah, really all around good. Okay, Terrence Crawford is on November 14th, so we'll see Gervonta Davis on Halloween, so that should be good. Yeah, so that's the Speak Your Piece podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoy it. We'll have some more more fighting analysis next week with the Khabib fight. So thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the conversation with Scott earlier, and yeah, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.